right, let's see what's in this so-called wind box. Okay, we got the chicken. That makes sense. Yeah. We got what the hell is this? We got some kind of alien. I guess they're in the sky. That makes sense. We got okay, that's a bird. Technically, that's a bird. I could see that coming up. And we got what the hell is this?
Good afternoon, my Cracker Tugas. I'm MBT, and this is 20 Spirit Testing. This week is the first app tournament of the Daybreak metagame, and it's sure to upend all that bullshit we were doing before. But as one last hurrah for the decks that were powerful during that tournament, I present to you Windburn. So here's the list. As always, I'll give you a background about the archetype, a little bit of a discussion about what I hope the deck can do, and of course, the card by card. But first, if you've been compelled to casting by my videos, I have great news for me! I've got an affiliate code for the Elestrals shop, so if you intend to pick up cardboard or plushies, please use that code and get me some cash. With that, let's worry about Windburn. Wind's always been a really interesting part of Elestrals, mostly because of their divine rune, Aeolus. Aeolus has had the entire element in a stranglehold since print, appearing in nearly every competitive iteration of the deck, and it's not hard to see why. By over-enchanting this rune with as many wind as possible, it's 2.5 rotas. This has enabled Wind to consistently play a low Elestral deck full of one-ofs, powerful singleton Elestrals that fulfill different functions for different board states. Unfortunately, utility Elestrals tend to be best when they're being played reactively, leaving the deck with few proactive plays and always on the back foot. Until now. Toxiswarm's a new Elestral from Daybreak that finally gives this old deck the tailwind it needs. On a simplified board state, this monster's a menace, costing 4 total from a PTA activation and even more from a Shield of Achilles. And if he sticks a turn, the swings this Elestral enables with Exaltair are the stuff of legend. Add to this deck a quick effect P-Gust activation, courtesy of Altar of Stars, and it's not hard to see the sell into a Divine Rune metagame. So with that, let's get into the card by card. We have, of course, Toxiswarm, which we are playing 2 of, along with 2 P-Gust and 2 Exaltair. I'm playing one of the other Wind Elestrals. I like these at 2 specifically. P-Gust feels good to open, and also good to find over the course of a game. You want it to go into an opponent's Astrabbit, which is usually going to be their turn 1 play, but he's also fantastic as a get. Realistically, I just want the ability to both draw and search one without taking up too much space in deck. Toxiswarm is, of course, fantastic on board states that have already been simplified, and I'm playing 2 Exaltair instead of 3-1 with the Toxiswarm because Exaltair has some other applications that I think are really quality. One of which is this card, Nemesail. It kind of flew under the radar the previous set. This card's fantastic. A receive Elestral for Wind means that you are never all the way out of the game in a deck that is really expensive, courtesy of Aeolus, and this card are one of Sorlet. So Sorlet is a 5-attack Elestral, which is important, but also this card beats a lot of really relevant threats. Of course, any of the 5s lineup falls prey to it, but also cards like Lavalith are easy pickings for the pig. That's the reason I'm playing him over Galaxair, which is otherwise way better as it doesn't cost you spirits. This one can just stick on the field as well, which is nice. But that doesn't mean Galaxair is bad. It means you should consider it when building. We've got 3 copies of Astrabbit and 3 copies of Elichick. We really need to get our Aeolus up and running. We've got 3 Earthquake, 3 Tsunami, a Divine Rune suite of 1 Zeus, 2 Aeolus, then 3 Ambrosia, 2 Nectar of the Gods, triple Altar of Stars, triple Shield of Achilles, triple Poison Tipped Arrow, and triple Gorgon's Gaze. The spirit math is a little wonky. We've got 2 Teratlus for 3 Earthquake, just only draw 1 Forehead, 2 copies of Leviathan, 4 copies of Zaptor, and the rest are Lycoris. So with that, let's jump into a game. Our match is up against Earth Nexus. Now recall what we want to do against Earth Nexus is engineer a scenario where we can land a P-Gust and then maybe alter to the P-Gust so we can quick speed pop an opponent's rune. Ideally a Demeter or a back row that they've just set. So this position that we have found ourselves in for the first turn is fine. We of course have the Astrabbit, we have the Elichick, we have a piece of removal, we have 2 pieces of back row. You can't really ask for more, but you know I want to. That's because this deck really needs Elichick to resolve. It has to have Aeolus access or else it's playing a much worse deck than anything else in the format. And for that reason, a Gorgon's Gaze would kind of cook us alive here. They're going to go Elichick here and grab a Zeus, which tells me not only do they already have Demeter, we are about to lose the bunny. We don't have a fantastic way to stop them from getting over the bunny. outside of, I don't know, maybe like proactively PTAing, but PTAing and Elechick feels really bad. Not as bad as Earthquaking one, though, which we'll have to do momentarily. We're going to go for our Elechick here. There is a Gorgons in the back row. Horrifying stuff. Would be the end of the game, but we also drew an Elechick off the top, so we'll just try it again next turn. For now, I don't want them to get into such an overwhelming lead that they can win the game on the spot. So I will go ahead and Earthquake that Elechick and pass back to my opponent, setting an additional Earthquake that, of course, you can't pay for. And down comes Equilynx. This is horrifying. We're going to PTA here, knowing that there's a 50-50 for them to hit Plank on the Equilynx. Getting Equilynx off the field, I feel, is pretty important, and we can't really contest it because of the way this Zeus is going to interact with the board state. But it's also really rough because our opponent's going to be able to get in for a ton. You know, here they have a huge swing even through a PTA, and we're going to have to take a lot paying it out. They've got that 2-attack Equilynx chilling on their side of the field. They're going to Zeus down our Elechick, and for a brief moment, I just pray to God. I say, please allow them to just attack over the Elechick and move on. Instead, they're going to land the Demeter, and we are off to the races. So they're going to go Demeter, target the Elechick, or the Equilynx rather, pop our Earthquake, and thank goodness they didn't hit the other one. We will take 1 off the attack, then 1 in the end phase to pop the Equilynx. We do get a 2-spirit differential, but 12 to their 12 after landing this Elechick. And the reason why this is uniquely bad for Wind is because we're about to go down 5. We will go for the Aeolus for 5. Probably not fantastic decision-making against Earth, but I've just seen the Equilynx. I'm not feeling like there's going to be another one. We'll just go combat here and try to get in for 1. Thankfully, we do. We'll pass back to our opponent, and from here on out, our position is clear. We want to land this P-Gust, we want to eat back row, and then we want to use Altar of Stars to leverage even more back row. This Viscerus comes down, and thank goodness this is an Elestral that specifically can't beat Shield of Achilles. So few opportunities to actually access this card. I start to see why Jayak put it in their board, because oftentimes it just does nothing. Here our opponent's going to try and recoup the losses from the one Elestral that actually loses to this with a Bloom. They're going to Nexus back onto the Demeter, so it has a couple more activations, but unfortunately for them, as we all know, you can only enchant an Elestral with Bloom, so it's going to remain at 2, just the one off the Viscerus. Still fine for us because we're going to land the P-Gust here. We're going to go P-Gust, pop the Demeter. We get a 6-spirit differential here. But as you'll see, we're already down to 4. And I'm thinking the only way I really lose this game is if my opponent's able to summon a 5-attack Elestral every turn, something that Earth is very capable of doing, and just kill us that way. So instead, I'm like, all right, we got to get the Nemasail, and next turn we'll develop that, get back into the game in terms of the Spirit Math. For now, let's just hit as hard as we can. Our opponent goes down to 6, casting this Viscerus, and this is the best possible outcome for us. A set piece of back row and a Viscerus means that we can Nexus, paying from the P-Gust to the Altar of Stars, then moving from the Aeolus to the P-Gust to move the Viscerus to defense position and trigger the effect of the P-Gust, eating the last remaining card at our opponent's disposal. We'll go Nemasail here, developing this fantastic, and we'll go for the Nog as well. It feels really bad going down to 3, but we don't have any back row, and like a follow-up Viscerus would be kind of devastating for us if it were allowed to get really big. We'll go to combat here and eat everything. Our opponent's going to go down to 4. They'll draw for turn, they're going to set 1, and then go for another Viscerus. You're kidding me. This is a hard call to make. You know, late game versus Viscerus, a lot of the time you just want to let them resolve the Viscerus because they're taking 1 spirit damage for an Elestral that in this board state, for instance, doesn't actually trade with the board. Like, it's just going to sit in defense. So unless that set card is a Tsunami and they have unbelievable spirit management, I'm feeling really good about this. That PTA is really nice too. We're going to re-enchant the Nemasail here, get a couple of wind spirits back. I'm thinking, I imagine we just want to eat the board, so we're going to go ahead and Zeus. We'll bring down the Viscerus, and I'm hoping that sets a bluff, because if it's anything relevant, we are in a little bit of a pickle here. Thankfully, it's not, so we are able to use the Nemasail to get over the defense position Viscerus, and then we are able to use the Elechick to get over the attack position 1. They're down to 2, and oh my god, Rabbit last card. Well, find Ambro or bust, because we do have a PTA here. They reveal they didn't find Ambro, and we walk away with the match. Holy moly. So we're back with the deck, and it looked dominant there, but a lot could have gone wrong. Let's do the pros and cons. First, the pros. 1. P-Gust remains one of the very few convincing turn 1 plays into Astrabbit. By threatening a pop of whatever your opponent sets, you're demanding they overextend into you, at which point your runes and reactive Elestrals are poised to blow them out. 2. People love playing Divine Runes right now, be it Demeter or Apollo or even Zeus. Flexing Quick Nexi into P-Gust is a great way to win the game on the spot. And 3, it's adaptable. There's a ton of maybe Wind Elestrals worth considering, like Verituka, Galaxair, and more that can be added based on the matchup. And the cons. 1, it's expensive. Going 5 deep on an Aeolus so you can get 2 searches and a Nexus Bank is a real gamble, and it puts you in a terrible position if your opponent lands a Lavalith or an Equilynx. 2, the Elestrals aren't very big. It's probably worth considering at least one island of Aeolus, especially in the board. While you're okay with stalled board states, courtesy of Exaltair and Toxiswarm, you really hate to see a 5 come down. And 3, so many of the cards in this deck, Exaltair, Altar of Stars, and more, only work as 2-card combos. If your opponent interrupts you, you're often in a really bad spot. All in all, I like the deck, but I don't love it. I expect this to hang around the periphery, but don't think it's going to take down this weekend's app tournament.